Knives Out. Knives Out. Starring a ton of Hollywood's best. This movie, right off the top, I have to say, reminds me a lot of Dolomite Is My Name. Not because the cast was similar, not because the movie was similar, but it shows what happened when Hollywood honestly takes a ton of the right people and stick them in a movie. Dolomite Was My Name. They put a lot of really good actors and actresses in a movie, and it worked perfectly. Knives Out, they take a lot of really good actors and actresses, they put them in a movie, and it works perfectly. Beignet Blanc is the name of the detective in this movie. It struck me as odd because Daniel Craig is playing this guy. They say that he's the last of the great English detectives, right? But he has a deep southern drawl. He talks like this, like a southern gentleman, right? But his name is clearly French. So I'm like, where's this dude from? I don't think, if I remember correctly, I don't think they specifically said where he was from. He said he got a message and he came there, but he could have drove down the street, so he could have been from that city and state. He could have flown from the other side of the world. I am well, probably not, because he got there in hours, I guess. This movie stars Chris Evans, Ana de Armas, who is probably going to have a few more roles in the future coming up. The incredible Jamie Lee Curtis, Michael Shannon, Don Johnson, Lakeith Stanfield, who I think is another one of the underappreciated actors in Hollywood. This guy does great work. And Christopher Plummer. The cast was great. Everybody, a lot of movies lately I've had a problem with because it seems like the actors have been phoning in their appearances on screen. Didn't really want to be there. But this is probably the best movie I've seen where someone didn't have superpowers, or there wasn't like a crazy space alien monster, or there's the special effects were this didn't need any of that. This just had solid actors doing solid parts, and it was good. It was well thought out. It was done by director and writer Brian Johnson, who has brought us movies like Brick and The Last Jedi and Looper. He does movies that have intricate moving parts. This will connect to that, that will connect to this. If you remember this part, it connects to that later. It's one of those kinds of movies. I'm pretty good at going to a movie and it starts off and you're like, oh, okay, those guys, actually with those guys, this dude is going to be a killer. They don't say that guy's going to turn into a monster by the end of it. I can figure it out. I'm pretty good at that. I'm pretty good at figuring out the movies. One of the reasons why I have to go by myself nowadays, but I'm pretty good at figuring out the movies. But this one, I thought I knew in the beginning. And then somewhere after about 20 minutes, I changed my mind. And then maybe 20, 30 minutes later, I was like, no, I was right. It's this person. That's who did it. And then later, I changed again. It flip-flopped a few times. And with me flip-flopping, I picked the right person, but I just didn't pick the right person through the whole movie. It changed a few times and made me think it was somebody else. This movie was really good like that. essentially, without giving it away because it's a mystery, you don't want to know what happened really, but essentially what happens is Marta is hired to be this super billionaire, really millionaire's nurse slash companion. He doesn't really have any friends and he doesn't like his family, so he hired her to be his nurse, but he kept her because he needed someone to talk to. He needed someone to talk to, and they play games together and stuff like that. He tells her family secrets and the such, and something happens and he's murdered. So the detective comes in, the great Benoit Blanc comes in, and he has to figure out what happened. So actually, Lakeith Stanfield is the police officer and the detective in charge of what's going on. But Benoit Blanc, he says his name like that. It's kind of cool. Sounds like he's going, Brock Lesnar. He says his name with such authority. But he is brought in as a consultant. And he's so good and his reputation is so big that the police don't deny him. They're like, yeah, man, yeah, of course, you can come in. So he's in the background actually guiding the investigation. And like I said, there's a lot of twists and turns, a lot of things that you've got to watch and say, hey, what's happening there? That doesn't really look like this. And there's one part that they tell you something is going to happen. They say it, and it doesn't click until later, like right in the end, the last couple of minutes. But it's a good movie. The villain gets some horrible comeuppance, and you have to see this movie. It's a really good movie. I dug it. I dug the acting. I dug the story. Benoit Blanc should have another movie. They should have that. They should have Daniel Craig, who apparently doesn't like doing sequels. James Bond doesn't like doing sequels, but I think they should bring him back because he was incredible as the detective. And I haven't thought about that, about a movie that was incredible, that hasn't been like a Disney movie in a while. This gives me hope for future movies of any kind at all. They gave a shout out to the political uproar that we're having right now in the country. They talked about the current administration and the White House and all of the things that are happening there. Without taking any particular side, they talked about, without me taking any particular side, they definitely had sides. They talked about certain things that was happening. And a lot of that is happening in a lot of movies. A lot of TV shows and movies are portraying and talking about stuff that's happening in the White House, but they definitely spent 5 or 6 minutes specifically talking about that. They hinted around it at different parts of the movie, but they definitely jumped in with both feet at one part. And it was interesting because that was also entertaining. It wasn't done like they were like, we hate the White House or we love the White House. It was both sides, but they made it entertaining, which is another thing that made this movie really, really good. It was just a well-acted movie. So well acted, in fact, that I'm going to give this movie 8 bags of popcorn. 8 big bags of popcorn. Almost 9. But 8 bags of popcorn. Man. And that's what I think about that. I dug that movie. It was really, really good. But that's what I think. More importantly, what do you think? If you like the video, if you like the content, subscribe. and then like.